Okay, the Trump administration is now emailing grocery stores telling them they can't offer discounts to SNAP eligible Americans that can't afford food right now since Donald Trump is refusing to fund SNAP benefits. So, over 30 days ago, the government shut down. And because of that, on November 1st, the Department of Agriculture ran out of money to keep food stamps going. And 41 million Americans lost their SNAP benefits, including 13 million children. Now, in response to this, the Trump administration could have taken emergency funding from Congress to keep these SNAP benefits running, to stop 41 million Americans from starving. Did they? Absolutely not. And because of that, groceries have started to offer discounts to those SNAP-eligible Americans that are no longer receiving benefits to help them during this hard time. The Trump administration saw grocery stores doing this and said, hell no, they're not allowed to eat, and told the grocery stores to stop. Now, if you're wondering why the Trump administration has the authority to tell these grocery stores to stop, it's because SNAP-eligible grocery stores have to comply with the equal treatment rule, which means they can't sell their products at a discounted rate to SNAP-eligible Americans. Now, the point of this rule is to prevent SNAP-eligible Americans from using their SNAP benefits to buy goods that are already at a discounted rate, not to prevent grocery stores from giving them a helping hand in a time where the federal government is failing to fund their SNAP benefits because it's shut down.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In case you're new here, my name is Maren.
And I'm Maureen.
Right, so in today's episode, we're going to be reacting to videos of Americans who right now are really not happy with their government.
Right, and this is because the government has strictly warned stores from giving discounts to people who benefit from SNAP benefits but are now being affected by it being cut back.
Right, and you know guys, I'm just thinking how diabolical it has to be, because at least somebody has come forward and is trying to
offer a solution to the problem, you know. And a normal person would think, or at least I would think, the government would be at ease knowing that at least someone else is stepping in to negate the problem arising from what their actions have caused.
Yeah, but guys, let's watch what Americans have to say and then you come back and talk about it. You can also let us know your thoughts and opinion on this issue. Also consider subscribing if it's your first time here. Let's watch and then we come back.
So the Trump administration has just sent out a very, very stark warning to all of the grocery stores in America, basically threatening them and threatening any organization that tries to offer help to food stamp recipients that may be going hungry right now. There was a document sent out this morning because apparently they are more concerned about big box grocery stores and local pantries giving things and allowing discounts for people who may otherwise not have the money, that they sent out this document stating that they could face federal repercussions and regulations if they give discounts to food stamp recipients or people who otherwise might not be able to get food. They sent out what they called a retailer's notice saying that authorized retailers must comply with the SNAP equal treatment rule. Mind you, they're not receiving SNAP right now, so they're picking and choosing what parts of SNAP to use. We're not going to use the SNAP contingency fund for these people, but you do as a retailer have to still follow the guidelines, even though those SNAP benefits are not being used to put any guidelines in. It says you must offer eligible food at the same prices and on the same terms and conditions to SNAP EBT customers as other customers, except the sales tax cannot be changed on SNAP's purchases. You cannot treat SNAP EBT customers differently than any other customer. And offering discounts on services, it could be a violation to SNAP equal treatment waiver. Besides the fact that private companies can do whatever the fuck they want, I will remind you, if they're not receiving SNAP benefits, they are not beholden to your SNAP equal rights. And they really think Fox News and like all these news stations are like trying to make black people the face of this, and it's not black people. So y'all do with that information as you want, but this administration is more concerned about proving a point and keeping people hungry to the point where they're telling people do not allow certain individuals to get discounted food or donate to food pantries. It's crazy.
I will agree that there are too many American people that are on SNAP benefits, but that means that you got to not look necessarily at SNAP. You got to look at the reasons that they're on SNAP. We know that over 1/4 of these people that are in receipt of SNAP benefits are actually the working poor in this country, right? We have not increased the minimum wage, and I don't know when, and the minimum wage still sits at $7 while everything else is going up, whether we're talking about the cost of food or whether we're talking about the cost of rent or whether we're talking about the cost to actually try to engage in home ownership, if we're talking about the interest rates. And we know that under the failed leadership of this administration, this country has seen a loss of 1 million jobs, and that's just in the first few months. He's not even had a full year. So no, we need to work on economic policies that will put people into a position in which they are not the working poor, where they are still needing the $6 a day to eat. So yes, we need to talk about it, but I don't think that SNAP is the problem. I think that that is the resolution, or at least that is a symptom of the problem. We have a bigger problem in which we have billionaires that are continuing to rise up every single day and are getting richer and richer, to the extent that there was talk about Elon becoming a trillionaire, the first one in this country or in the world, yet we still have people that have to go to the food bank and go to work.
Has anyone ever thought that the reason groceries are so freaking expensive is because 42 million people get them for free?
No, I never thought that. On the other hand, I don't try to figure out ways to blame poor people for my problems. I would ask you, though, if 42 million people being on SNAP is the reason food prices are high, then why weren't they high when 47 million people was on SNAP? Yeah, see this? There was 47, 46, 45. Yeah, and look where food inflation was back then. Wow! In addition, they've done studies on this. In a 2018 study done by the American Journal of Agricultural Economics showed that a 10% increase in SNAP benefits resulted in a 0.12% increase, or 0.1% increase in food prices. I'm going to assume you're not great at math, so if food prices increased by 10%, the part of that would be attributable to SNAP would be 1/100th of it. 1/100th. I mean, you could easily look all this up for yourself, but why would you when it's so easy to blame poor people for your problems? Thanks.
I'm back at Costco, but not for one of my normal trips. As many of you know, on Saturday, November 1st, over 40 million Americans lost access to their SNAP benefits. Our veterans, people with disabilities, children, senior citizens are going without. And it really breaks my heart knowing that there are people around this country, here in San Diego, and people even in my community are going through a really tough time. So I did a little bit of research and reached out to the San Diego Food Bank. Nathan, thank you so much for your insight and resources. I made a long list to pick up some things at Costco. Things like non-perishables, dry foods, essential items, diapers, formula. And since I'm in the Creator Fund, any money that's made off of this piece of content is going to be donated to the San Diego Rescue Mission. So please, if you can engage, like, comment, share, repost, that would be so helpful. So thanks for staying with me. Let's go do this. Costco diapers, size 2, size 3. Okay, how to do a little bit of rearranging. Let's do some wipes. Applesauce. Do some pasta. 8 packets. This guy. Get some pasta sauce. Get some soup. Do some chicken broth. And canned tuna and water. Brown rice. Corn. Green beans. Black beans. We love this brand. Get some pumpkin. Peanut butter, creamy, super chunky. Get some cereal, some Chex, 3 bags. Get some oatmeal, baby formula. My kids used this when they were little. This worked great. Okay, I think we're almost done. Avocado oil spray. Get some canola oil too. Get them some hot chocolate. And for those that don't like fish, let's do some chicken. I think we are all set. Okay. All done at Costco. Now it's time to head down to the San Diego Food Bank in Miramar. They close in 45 minutes, so let's hurry. We made it. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Well, we did it. I just dropped off all of the donations at the San Diego Food Bank. They brought out a pallet and separate container to accommodate all of the things I had in my car. In total, I think it was around 400 pounds of essential items. Thank you so much for engaging. Thank you so much for the support. And like I said, all of the proceeds from this piece of content will be donated to the San Diego Rescue Mission. And for more information on how you can help or donate, head to my link in bio.
Talk about what happens when SNAP benefits stop getting paid, because it's worse than you think. Please don't panic, we are how we get each other through this. SNAP benefits as a program are designed to make sure that people who are food insecure are able to get access to food anyway. The majority of people on SNAP are working people who work full 9-to-5 jobs and still cannot afford food. SNAP helps them make those ends meet. But that's not all SNAP does, because what SNAP benefits are, generally speaking, are food subsidies that the government pays. Because it isn't just people on food stamps who rely on SNAP. Something like 25 to 31% of Walmart's total annual revenue is subsidies from SNAP benefits. Grocery stores like Meijer and Kroger and Food Lion, they are all subsidized by SNAP benefits as well. And what that does is it keeps the cost of food at these subsidized grocery stores way lower than it would be without those subsidies. Can you guess what time of the year the largest percent of a grocery store's revenue comes from SNAP benefits? It's November to January, which means that right now, the time of the year that not just people, but grocery stores rely on SNAP benefits subsidies the most, they don't exist. This isn't just people getting kicked off of food stamps. This is the cost of groceries going up another 25 to 50% and staying there. This is grocery stores being forced to close down rural locations and leave those communities without access to food for miles. This is all the big name grocery stores firing somewhere upwards of 50% of their in-store workforce rather than take the hit to their profits. That's millions more people losing their jobs. These things, they end up in a death spiral because the more desperate people get, the less people are working, the higher the cost of groceries will go, especially now that there's no SNAP benefit subsidies to keep those costs down. SNAP benefits aren't paid for a month or longer, you're going to see the complete collapse of the consumer economy. Following that, very likely the collapse of the dollar bill itself. People look at SNAP benefits and think it's only food stamps, but it is literally a cornerstone of our functioning American economy. It is what keeps food accessibility in the United States afloat. You think it's not going to affect you because you're a big, strong, red-blooded American who works in a town 20 miles away from everything else? That's not going to help you when your local mom-and-pop grocery store is forced to close because they're no longer being subsidized by SNAP benefits, and the remaining grocery stores that are closest to you have their costs go up 25 to 50%. This is going to affect everyone. Now is the time, no matter where your community is, to start building up a network that makes sure food gets distributed to the people who need it. Start talking with your local food pantries, with your local soup kitchens. Get involved with organizations who try to make sure that those at a financial disadvantage have access to food. Or yet just ask around your neighborhood. Are you okay? Do you have enough food? Okay, thank you. Or what do you need? It is quite literally how we get through this, and it is so easy to reach out to people. And easier still to build a network.
So guys, welcome back. Let us know what you think about this video in the comment section, yeah? So right now, I want to believe that by now it's known that SNAP benefit was helping a lot of Americans, especially children who otherwise could face starvation, yeah? And this was really helping those people who are facing hardships in financial difficulties. So right now, when you look at stores that are trying to provide a solution and they're trying to just practice humanity, you know, and then the government to come in and try and warn them about doing this, I feel like there's an agenda there, because it doesn't even sound right for them to refuse people from stopping to help, you know.
Right, and someone was saying on TikTok that the government was doing this because, you know, if stores do this kind of thing right now, of course people take note, and when the economy becomes better and people can afford, these are the very stores that benefit from the purchasing power of the audience, because they stood with the audience during the difficult times, right? And people also say that they've noted that there are other stores that might be, you know, benefiting the rich or the 1%, or that the 1% might be owning shares of, which are not necessarily stepping forward to offer a solution, and they intend for their prices to stay the way they are. So because of these stores is why the government is, you know, forcing the others little stores that are trying to help from doing so, so that they can all be on the same playing field, and that so that they all can be seen the same by Americans.
Yeah, they normally say that in terms of chaos, there's somebody who stands to benefit, and clearly you can see that in this situation. And then let's talk about how when you depend on SNAP benefits, I feel like it does sound like the government is trying to sabotage its own citizens, because if you know that this is a step towards helping the people in your country, why would you be against the very thing that is going to bring at least that positive environment for your citizens to be a little bit happier, to elevate the kind of strains that they have during these holiday seasons, you know?
Right.
And that just proves one thing. Yeah, sometimes the government is not even, it's meant to be there to help its citizens and solve the problem, but it chooses not to do that. It does the opposite, because
it doesn't always work for the citizens, in short. Right.
Exactly.
And I do love what Jasmine Cochrane said, and she said that instead of blaming people for being on SNAP benefits, and instead of cutting back SNAP benefits and doing all of these things, these are just treating the symptoms to the problem. And she suggested doing or changing economic policies to such a way that it will better the economy even for the working class. And I do agree with her suggestion, because that is not the symptom of the problem, that is the cause of the problem: economic policies.
That is very true, because I feel like if you want to create job opportunities, already the government have a roadmap, because generations upon generations, they know what ails the country. Even in Africa, I want to believe that. Do you guys feel like they don't know the real problem and issues Africans have, or African countries have? Because it's common knowledge that in Africa, things like infrastructure, things like roads are a problem, and that is why
been the problem ever since
we
time
were born.
immemorial.
Yeah.
But that is the very same thing
they're not
every
willing to
politician in every African country uses to come into election so that they can be voted in, but they don't do nothing about it, you know. And the next cycle, another fresh face of a politician will come and say the very same thing, but nothing will be fixed. So I do believe also that the government has a roadmap in how to help people, you know. They just choose not to do it, because when a situation is dire like that, it is serving someone else who has greater power.
And that is the what is it called? The things that they used to steal from the people. They used to collect money from people in the name of taxes,
so that they can fix this and that. Taxes so that they can build healthcare. Yet they've put the very same policies that are killing healthcare.
Right, guys. Let's just think about this for a second. I do feel like some things in this world are a huge, like the biggest scams you can ever walk in life and think about. You know, one thing, insurance, you know, car insurance and whatever other insurances. I feel like these things are scams, because by the time, if you keep paying for them, if you keep paying for them with the hope that should you come across any type of problem, your insurance is gonna cover you. But should that problem come, do you imagine how difficult it is? I know some of us here on this platform have gone through this situation where it's now time for you to claim because you need help in financing something, because that thing you are getting insured against has happened, you know. And then the runaround these people are going to give. So I feel like that is the number one scam. Number two, let's just talk about the government institution. You know, I feel
like sometimes whether a government is in a country or not, sometimes there's usually no difference. Of course, there's times that you'll feel the difference because of that very same government some countries won't invade other countries.
Right. There's some sort of protocol and order that it's good for those type of situations that the country has. But when it comes to other things, it feels like
they just collect your money and you finance them.
One day you wake up, you find that a bill has been passed for this and this. Now you're forced to pay. You're gonna buy a house, but it's not really yours. You're forced to pay the government in order not to lose the house. Does that even make sense? And a lot of other things that doesn't make sense. Like, for example, why is it that Americans are working tirelessly hard, people getting 2 to 3 jobs? America was the first place on earth where I ever heard people were working 3 jobs and still couldn't. Some of them couldn't afford their lives,
Right, because what we know is that outside of America, should you get people who are working 2 jobs, they live very well and comfortably, right? But right now, I feel like Americans are being overworked to a point where they can't think for themselves, because the only thing that they're on survival mode. The only thing they think of is how to get to work and how to get back from work, how to eat and how, that very thing.
I feel
they
like
don't
that
have
has
time
even
to
killed the
think.
social life of Americans. Like, people are busy working themselves to,
sustain their lives.
Right. They're busy working themselves to the point where they don't have time to spend time with family or make friends, because they're stressed about paying bills, paying taxes and things like that,
Right.
And that is the reason why I'm saying some things are a scam, because why do you need to be taxed to death when things like SNAP benefit can be cut just because the government does not have enough to fund?
Even cutting SNAP benefit would not have been a problem if only economic policies would have been changed to favor the country. It would have been changed to such a way that everybody can grow financially.
Right. They normally say, teach a man how to fish and the man will never ever sleep hungry. But give the man what?
Fish, and you'll be feeding them most of
for the entire life they live, And that, think about it, it makes sense. Would you rather teach somebody how to fish so that they can go out there and look for their own food, or would you rather
be beneficial
give them
for everybody?
For people to know how to fish, And at this point, why am I saying this? Because it would be easier. There's a reason why the American continent became the great America, became a first world country that it was, because someone decided, or the system decided that America needed to be number one. So
they expanded the economy, and
exactly.
To some point, there's a time their economic policies worked for them to have reached where they have reached today.
Right, and there's a reason why the economy worked for them. The economy was expanded, and there's a reason why in America, I feel like in America is where people started driving early, even compared to these other countries. There's a reason why in America the credit card system really grew to a point where right now people can no longer, you find people are in debt, and you look at the background of all this and you're like, people didn't need, but there's a reason why that industry grew. There's a reason why America has gotten to a point right now in our current situation, people can sue for literally anything, even the fly, because there was a point where the money was circulating in the system, business opportunities were being created, the economy had been expanded, and because there was circulation of money in the system, people could be able to spend,
Right. So I do think that my biggest takeaway from this episode was what Jasmine Cochran said, is that the only way you can fix this issue in America right now is by fixing the economic policies. But I don't know, guys. Let us know what you personally think about the episode and what was your biggest takeaway from this episode today.
Right. And before we go, I just want to ask you a question. Do you believe that the American government can change economic policies to favor their citizens and therefore expanding the economy of America, and they just choose not to? Or do you believe that genuinely right now the American government is not able to create these opportunities for its citizens? Let us know down in the comment section. So guys, thank you so much for always joining us. Also consider subscribing before you leave if you have not yet, right?
Right. We'll see you on our next episode.